There are tons of brands out there that make homages to Cartier. However, today we're going to take a look at one of the most affordable homages to a Cartier that I have ever seen, and it's a Casio, which kind of blew me away. I was going through Amazon, just looking at random watches, and I found a little Casio that is sort of an homage to a few different Cartier tanks. Let's flip the camera and take a look at an homage from Casio to Cartier. Casio are definitely not the first brand to make an homage to Cartier, specifically Cartier tanks. However, I have to say they did a really good job at making an homage to a bunch of different Cartier tanks, because this is not a direct homage to any single tank, and it's very, very affordable. I will put a link down in the description to Amazon, where I actually purchased this watch for around $39. So I'm going to go through some of the specs on this watch. I'll throw it on my 7.5 inch wrist. I actually have some Cartier here to compare it to. I have a Must Cartier right here, one of the more affordable Cartier that you can purchase. And then on my wrist, I have my Santos. So I'm going to show you how this is similar to both of those watches. So very quickly, this gets a silver sunray dial with black indices. So the indices are printed on the dial. The hands are in a silver tone, however, you can actually see them very well against that silver background. The silver background is sunray, so when I move it around, you do get a really nice sunray effect. They put Casio right below the 12 o'clock index, right above the 6 o'clock index. It says water resistant. I really wish they did not put that there. It kind of cheapens the look of the watch. If they didn't do that, it would look a lot better. I believe that Seiko make a version where they just put the Seiko name on it. It's almost a direct homage to this watch. I want to get one of those here on my channel for review, and I will in the near future, hopefully. So this is in a stainless steel case. Actually, I believe this might be a chrome plated case because the back of the case says that the back is stainless steel. So that's something I cannot find information on. So keep that in mind if you are thinking about buying one of these. Of course, you have a snap-on case back, a quartz movement. You have a small crown on here, which is just stainless steel and unsigned. It's a little bit thick, especially when compared to the Cartier Must Cartier. So definitely another thing to keep in mind. However, the specs are very, very similar, and the dials are pretty much similar also. So when you're looking at the dial, obviously there's not many ways that you could add Roman numerals to a rectangular watch. So that's the reason why the Cartier and the Casio look very, very similar, and the Casio is sort of mimicking the Cartier. It makes a lot of sense. And they even use 4 eyes for the 4 o'clock position. On the Casio, you know, it gives it a lot of symmetry with the 8 o'clock. It makes a lot of sense, even though the Romans used IV and 4 eyes. So really, there's a little bit of controversy about that, I believe, but really no difference at all to me, and it looks really good, and it's very symmetrical, so it makes a lot of sense. These are very similar in size. I believe they are a millimeter off each other width-wise. I think this is around 22 millimeters, while the Cartier is around 23 millimeters, so 21.9 on the Casio, 23.4 on the Cartier. Now the Cartier, when it comes to lug span, 30.7. And then of course on the Casio, it's actually very similar to the Cartier, but they are shaped differently. So it's 31 millimeters, so it's a little bit longer, but the actual lugs turn down a lot more and look a lot more angular, as you can see. So that's something to note. It's thicker as well, even though it's quartz, 7.6 millimeters, while the Cartier is somewhere in the neighborhood of around 6 millimeters, 6.3 millimeters. Like I said, the biggest difference in size though is the lug span, because you have a 17 millimeter lug span on the Cartier, while you have about a, I think, 14 millimeter lug span on the Casio. So that makes it where, yeah, so 13.7, it's probably around 14 millimeters at the lugs. So that makes the biggest difference, especially when you put it on wrist. Very quickly, I'll throw all three of these watches on my wrist. Well, actually, I already have one on my wrist. That is my Cartier Santos. Now this gets a sunburst dial. It's a metallic dial, very similar to what you're getting on the Casio, but you can see the lugs are very similar to what the Casio is doing here. They turn down. They're not angular, but kind of similar in look. And then the other thing that's kind of similar in look is the buckle. Now, this is a deployant buckle. The Cartier has a deployant buckle, as you can see there, but this has sort of a horseshoe buckle on it, the Casio, which is a little bit of a mimic of this, I think. Maybe I'm stretching there, but that's really it. And again, you have the 4 with the 4 eyes, very, very similar. You can see, obviously, this is a 39mm watch. This is around a 22mm watch. You can see the difference in size is very apparent. But let me throw the Casio on my 7.5-inch wrist. You're going to see it wears small. It wears a lot smaller than the 39mm Santos, which makes a lot of sense, but there it is. It's a 22mm watch with a 31mm lug span. If you have a smaller wrist than me, I have a 7.5-inch wrist, this might work for you. If you have a sub 7-inch wrist, I think this might work a lot better on someone's wrist who's a little bit smaller than mine. Maybe, you know, a 6.5-inch wrist, this might look pretty damn good. I wish they made this a little bit bigger, maybe a little bit thinner, with longer lugs, with a wider strap on it. If they put a, you know, 17 or 18mm strap on here, it definitely would wear a lot bigger. So that's all. I'll throw the Cartier on my wrist. I cannot close it, but I will show it to you on my 7.5-inch wrist. And there you go. You can see this wears a lot bigger, and that's because it has a wider strap on it. The lug to lug is basically the same. The thickness is just a tad thicker on the Casio, and the width of the watch is obviously a little bit wider on the Cartier. That's the only differences between the two watches, and I'll put them side by side. As you could see, they do wear very nicely. If you have a smaller wrist, I think that one of these watches would work really well on someone with a smaller wrist than I have. Even though I think that a lot of men do wear the Must-A Cartier, and it's actually pretty collectible, really beautiful watch. This one is in silver with gold plating. You can get these around $1,000 in pretty good condition. This has a sort of off-white dial. I think it probably had originally a white dial. It's a little bit patinaed, and this also gets blued hands, which looks great. Anyway, there you go. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. Obviously, this is a very expensive watch, around $7,800 brand new. Some of them actually go for over list price, which is ridiculous. And this is a $39 watch. You're getting a lot of that flavor for not a lot of the money. Not even the tax on this watch, not even the tax on one of the straps on this watch, which is really crazy when you think about it. It's something to think about. But tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. Please also don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. It is super helpful for the channel, and I very much appreciate it. As I mentioned, I will put a link down in the description below to this watch. That is an affiliate link. If you click that link and buy anything, it helps support my channel. However, it doesn't cost you anything extra. If you buy this watch, you will pay the $39 and your Prime benefits will not be interrupted, and you will not be charged any extra money. So if you can click that link and buy anything, I do appreciate it. Anyway, guys, thank you for logging on. I'll catch you guys in the next video.